Hi and welcome to Orbit. This is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, the slimmest smartphone on the market. But why is it so slim? What are the benefits and especially what are the downsides? How is the battery life, the thermals and the camera? Well, this is my review. You know, a lot of things about the smartphone don't make much sense, but let's start with the name. Galaxy S25 Edge. Didn't Edge mean that the display is curved on the sides? That is not the case here at all. Although it would have made a little bit sense because the device would have looked even thinner. The S25 Edge is only 5.8mm thick. For comparison, regular smartphones are 8.2 to 8.9mm, so about 3mm less. And you can feel that immediately. The S25 Edge looks slim, delicate and futuristic, and it's also pleasantly light. Only 163 grams, that's a good 50 grams or half a chocolate bar less than regular smartphones in this size. It just feels good to hold something so light and thin in your hand. You don't even notice it in your trousers pocket. And we don't even need to talk about the fact that something weighing less and being less thick is a good thing. It triggered a wow effect in everyone I handed it to. Some people might say, but you will put a case on it, and to that I reply, even inside of a case, this phone is as thick as a regular phone without a case. Samsung achieved the slim device by using less battery, more on that in a moment, and making it more stable, with thinner material, like a titanium frame and glass that is enhanced with ceramic. I did manage to get a tiny scratch in the glass unfortunately, and the anti-reflective coating like on the S25 Ultra is sadly also missing. The camera sticks out a bit more than on the regular S25 but not more than on the iPhone 16 Pro or Pixel 9 Pro, which I think is impressive. Otherwise everything is normal. IP69, water resistant, dual SIM card slot, high quality vibration motor, great stereo speakers. The display is 6.7 inch in size, just like the S25 Plus, and has a Quad HD Plus resolution. It's 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate, it gets very bright, up to 2600 nits. It's just a beautiful modern display with wafer thin bezels. What I think is strange is that the corners are neither as round as on the S25 nor as square as on the S25 Ultra. It's somewhere in between, and that's not a consistent design language. But on the inside, all S25 devices are the same. Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy and 12GB of RAM, and the performance is awesome. In everyday use, the S25 Edge is just the way I expected from a high-end smartphone. Fast, fluid and reliable. And there are 7 years of software updates guaranteed. Samsung's Android interface isn't my favorite. I think Google, OnePlus or Motorola, they do a better job. But the Samsung software is very consistent and has smoother animations now. I had the feeling that the device tends to run a little bit hotter than the S25 Ultra. Not a whole lot, but when updating apps or gaming, it could be noticeable in the upper area. Efficiency in this device is everything. It is key, and therefore I'm surprised that Samsung is still using UFS 4.0 storage and not the faster, more efficient UFS 4.1 that would have been very fitting in a device like this. Samsung didn't skimp on artificial intelligence, Gemini, circle to search, image eraser, writing tools, everything is here, and if you are interested in that, check out my S25 reviews. And that brings us to the most important topic, the thing we all want to know: how is the battery life? Well, the red flags are all around. Modern technology and yet the smallest battery in all of the S25 devices. And let me be clear, battery life was not good. I had 4 to a maximum of 5 hours of screen on time. But when I was on sightseeing in a city, I only had 3 hours of screen on time. This is the type of device where I need to use a power bank, which is quite a nostalgic feeling because I thought we left those times behind. It is really unfortunate that this device charges really slow. It's only 25 watts, so it's 1.5 hours from 0 to 100%. For comparison, a OnePlus 13 has 35% more battery life and yet charges in a third of the time. Why is that? Well, because most of the other manufacturers, the modern phones, they use silicon carbon technology nowadays. And Samsung is not using silicon carbon. But if they would have, this device would have had 5070 milliampere hours at a minimum, which would have been insane. It would have been revolutionary. Such a thin device and yet the best battery life? That would have been a great device, but sadly Samsung stuck with the old technology, and that's why this phone is slim and the battery life is quite poor. And imagine using it now, it's not great, but in the future, 2 to 3 years, it will be much worse, and then you only have like 2 hours of screen on time. Okay, calm down, Killian. Let's talk about the cameras, because Samsung did everything right with the cameras. There are 2 lenses, an ultra-wide angle and a 200 megapixel main camera. The optical zoom is missing, but you will see in a moment that that's not a big deal. The main sensor is surprisingly large and thus the same as on the S25 Ultra. The photos look identical, very good quality, pleasant colors, good contrast, high dynamic range, and it prevents over or underexposure as much as possible. I do really like the pictures. Because of the 200 megapixels, these are the sharpest pictures in the industry, and a 2x crop looks awesome. At 3x, I think it almost looks as good, maybe even better than the 3x optical zoom on the S25 devices. And no wonder, the sensor area and the resolution are almost identical. At 5x, you of course notice that the S25 Ultra looks better, but I still think that the Edge holds its own. You can zoom a maximum of 10x. The ultra-wide angle is the same as on the S24 Ultra. The S25 Ultra does have a 50 megapixel sensor, but the quality is almost the same. The photos are very solid for a high-end smartphone, not better, not worse than others. And unlike Apple, who apparently will only install one camera on the iPhone 17 Air, at least you have the option of an ultra-wide angle here. Videos have looked good on Samsung devices for a while now, and so they do on the Edge as well. And also the selfie camera, I think, is better than expected. As far as the camera is concerned, this smartphone feels like an upgrade compared to the S25 and S25 Plus. And apart from the 5x zoom, it's on par with the S25 Ultra. Conclusion: I think the idea of a slim smartphone is a good one. It could be the phone of the future, and it could be the device we all want. I mean, it's just great looking and it feels nice, but compromising on battery life, one of the most important features, is just a bad look. And I get that Samsung wanted to be the first with a slim device, especially being ahead of Apple, but imagine them using silicon carbon. They would have made Apple look old. They would have made such a futuristic phone, and now Samsung is the one looking old, and that is not a good thing, right? And this device is expensive. It's more expensive than the S25 Ultra right now, because that is a much older phone right now. So yeah, I think I can't really recommend this phone, and I hope that the next version will use a better battery technology, because I hope that there will be a next generation. But next time around, make it right, Samsung.